live on YouTube and Twitter. Tonight, the Red Sox get shut out by the Blue Jays, and the bad at-bats have returned, despite the change in hitting staff. Guys, tonight I'm joined by Will and James. How are we tonight?
You know, they must have heard me say yesterday that I'm starting to believe, and then they just went out and maybe not believe again. So, you know, it's right back where we were before the last week or so. No offense. Our pitchers don't last too long. Our starting pitchers don't last too long. We'll dive into totally start tonight too, but not much to talk about tonight.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the Celtics also trolled. So that's kind of where I'm at tonight. The Sox didn't do anything. The Celtics with a horrific fourth quarter. Just a bad all-around night. I know the Bruins are still playing right now, but overall, just not much offense. Like Will mentioned, right when we came on before the air, no hit from the fourth inning on, and just didn't do much at the plate, and totally wasn't bad, but can't really do anything when the offense has 4 hits.
I thought Savage was good. He wasn't great tonight. We talked about last night on the show how cool this pitching matchup is going to be. It's going to be 2 starting pitchers that dominate in the AL East for many years to come. At least, hopefully, that's what we believe Tolley can be, and that's what I believe Savage could be. Savage was good, not great. I think he left a lot of splitters up in the zone that were hittable, at least early in the game. You brought up a stat like we talked about earlier a couple minutes ago about we haven't got a hit past the 4th inning. I think from the first to the 4th inning, they had a lot of chances to score runs and put runs up on the board, and that just didn't happen. And then after that, they were just toast. They had no shot. The at-bats were horrible. It was game over after that 4th inning, no matter what.
Yeah, it just seemed like the second that we lost the lead, or I guess Toronto gained the lead, it just seemed like it was just over. It could have been just 1 run at that point. Honestly, it didn't have to be the 3 that they scored. I do want to call out some more just awful at bats, like Nick was pointing toward. We had a 7-pitch 3rd inning. I feel like a broken record at this point that we need to be working 7-pitch at bats, not 7-pitch innings. So, completely ass backwards there. But just overall, just completely just fell asleep at the plate. Let's hope that we can give Bayo some run support tomorrow.
Yeah, I just, obviously Savage hasn't pitched this year, and he made a few starts last year. Just didn't seem like they had a plan going up against him. It was kind of just like look for something in the zone, and that's it. They weren't looking for a pitch. They weren't looking for a spot. It was just like kind of going up there and swinging. And, obviously only had 3 strikeouts. He's typically more of a strikeout pitcher, but I think offensively they just lacked from an approach. And I think the adrenaline from what's gone on in the last 72 hours, that kind of rode them through Sunday and Monday, and that probably wore off, and they just came out really, really flat.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to be super upset if you go out there and you have 1 bad game against Tracy Savage. I know it was his first game of the season, but this guy is just coming off the most dominant postseason we've seen in a very long time. He was special out there as a rookie. He's a special talent. If you go out there, you have a bad game against Tracy Savage, fine, but I want you to bounce back against TBD tomorrow. That's probably a guy that's going to come up, make his major league debut, or a guy that's called up from the bullpen or from the minor leagues. This isn't a guy that's expected to shove tomorrow. You're expected to get a guy you can knock around. If the at-bats are great tomorrow, if you go out there, you put up 6, 7, 8 runs again, and I will be happy. I'll see a change in hitting philosophy. I'll just say it's Tracy Savage. Blip on the radar kind of since, we have seen a little bit better at-bats since the Pete Fatsy has departed. I'm going to say I agree with that. I was okay with firing the hitting coach. I think it's made a little bit of a difference. Tonight, we jump back into our old ways. But if we go back tomorrow against a guy who we don't think who's going to pitch very well, we don't know the pitcher yet, obviously, but you need to go back tomorrow and show that it's just Tracy Savage was good tonight, basically.
Yeah, they're running the TBD play, which typically produces legendary results. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to be refreshing Twitter throughout just to see if Snyder announces a starter for tomorrow. But yeah, obviously with Bayo going tomorrow, we know how his last start went and really how the whole season has gone. Just have to find a way to produce enough offense. It's probably, going to be a barn burner because it's going to be a spot starter for Toronto, and then Bayo for the Sox just have to be able to, put good at-bats together and outscore Toronto.
And the one bright spot of this offensive production that we saw tonight, or lack thereof, was at least for me, Marcelo Mayer, 7-game hitting streak. Now he extends it. Also registered a hard hit too on that 1 hit he had today, along with Yoshida and Contreras, both hard hits. Contreras obviously with that really fine double down the line too. The pieces are there for a really good offense, I believe. But yeah, just tonight we didn't see it. I almost wish we saw like an absolute masterclass from Savage instead of this like kind of like he was all right, like it was a good bounce, like season debut for him. I'd rather he just came out and like just shoved it right, and then like we can chalk it up to that versus we couldn't take advantage of a guy who could only throw 5 in a third innings and only strike out 3 guys, right? It just leads to us soft contact and just not being able to put bat on ball.
Yeah, and speaking of the 4 hits, 2 of those came in the same inning. With Story with the bunt single. I wonder with Tracy if the Sox are going to be bunting a bit more, and then Meyer with the single there. 2 runners stranded, and then the Sox just really didn't do anything the rest of the game. But that was something that I think Contreras squared around last night, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we'll see if they play a little bit more small ball with Tracy. That was something that just caught my eye from pretty uneventful evening.
I want to talk myself into saying that Tracy Savage was a lot better tonight than he really was. If you really look into it, he threw 74 pitches, obviously was on a pitch count first start back, 50 strikes. That's nasty. 74 pitches, 50 strikes. That's disgusting. No walks. 3 ground balls, only to 6 fly balls. So, you hit the ball in the air a little bit more than you normally did tonight. It just... He filled up the zone. He worked fast. He was good. The Red Sox got themselves out fast. I think we should give him some credit tonight. A 74 pitches, 50 strikes, that's kind of unheard of in today's game for a young starting pitcher, especially coming off an injury.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, Will, with wanting to have 7 pitch at-bats, not 7 pitch innings, that's an example of a guy pounding the zone. You want to get to the pen. There are some nights you don't want to get to the bullpen because the bullpen is nastier than the rotation. The guy who comes in the 6th inning of a 5-3 game is going to be throwing 99 with a disgusting splitter. But tonight is a night where you want to elongate those at bats and get to the bullpen. So maybe you can face Hoffman in a higher leverage situation, and his 6 ERA can balloon to 9. I don't know. But yeah, that's something that ultimately they just weren't able to do tonight.
Speaking of a 9 ERA, that's what our pitcher tomorrow has. You want to get into him a little bit because this might be his last start for a while if he doesn't perform, because there are guys on his butt. Bennett was scratched today, if you want to talk about that. Peyton Tolley deserves to be in this rotation going forward. And Sonny Gray is throwing a bullpen, and he's not far off. So there are a lot of guys on his ass, and if Bayo doesn't perform tomorrow, it's probably his last start for a while. Do you have any thoughts on that kind of thing? I mean, I think he's on the hot seat. I really do.
He definitely is on the hot seat. Also, with Toronto being so banged up with their lineup too, this is like the perfect opportunity for him to come out and absolutely, be the Bayo that we all hope and expect. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, given his track record so far this season. Obviously, I hope he does, but exactly right. We have so many pitchers that are knocking on the door, whether they're coming up from AAA already and have had strong starts of the season, or coming off the IL too, between Sandoval. I mean, eventually we'll be talking about Cutter and how let's hope how at some point this season. There's a lot of names for that one spot. And if Bayo's not producing, man, it's like, see ya.
Yeah, and Gray has been on the IL for 7 days, so really he has one more week until he's eligible to come off. So probably 2 to 3 more starts, because he'll probably need a rehab start in there. And then it's like, all right, when Gray comes back, I would take Bayo out of the rotation and keep Tolley in there. If we're looking for anything positive for Bayo tomorrow, you're not going to find it here, unfortunately, because his stats against Toronto, 3-6 in his career with a 5.20 ERA and 53 strikeouts across 11 starts, or 11 appearances, excuse me. So, we're grasping at straws at this point. Like he's kind of on life support in terms of what he needs to do, and it's a team that is familiar with him and has had a great amount of success against him, being a division foe and having his number. So it's tough. And obviously he's had his issues in day games in the past. I imagine the roof will be open at the Rogers Center tomorrow. So we'll see. We'll see how he handles it. He's got to bounce back from adversity, and this is a shot.
I was tomorrow, do we have any depth starters that we know of from the Blue Jays? Is Bowden Francis is hurt, right? Do we have any idea who this guy could be tomorrow, or is it just the bullpen game?
Could just be a bullpen. Could just be a bullpen.
Do the Blue Jays play Thursday? Because if they don't, it's going to be a bullpen game.
I'll tell you right now.
I'm looking right now that they don't play on Thursday.
So I'm assuming this might be some sort of bullpen game, honestly.
Yeah, they do. They play at Minnesota on Thursday.
Okay, I don't know. You never know then. If it's a bullpen game, I'm interested to see how Chad Tracy fills out a lineup, to be honest. If they start with like a lefty against our Duran, Contreras, Roman, 1, 2, 3, that would be kind of, I would like to see how he, counterparted that, I don't know. Well, it'd be interesting to see. Just there's a lot of things that kind of developed this into like a developmental year. So I'm just, obviously I love to win baseball games, but this is more of just, I like to gain information about Chad Tracy, about how he's going to fill out these lineups. Are we ever going to see Marcelo Meyer at shortstop? Like, I'm more interested in that kind of thing now.
I like what he mentioned before today's game about the pitching matchups or expected pitching matchups going into the Houston series over the weekend. Yep. I thought that was a really, kind of like, making sure that people know that he's here to actually manage and not just here for the interim, right? Like he mentioned that, Thursday's obviously the off day, might see Jake Bennett on Friday, push Crochet start back one day, and then thus the entire rotation back one day, one more day of rest and whatnot. But again, it's just one of those things where I'm like, that's just, now the Astros need a game plan for that possibility, right? I love that. And also he did mention too, it's like with how Bayo's performing and whatnot too, it's like, let's see how we are after after tomorrow's game.
But who would Bennett come up for on Friday? Like, why would they give Crochet 7 days? Why wouldn't they just give him, he just start on Friday? And then if you want to push him next week to give him another day. You know what I mean?
I don't see Bennett starting in the major leagues unless there's an injury.
Yeah.
It was just weird that he was scratched today. I mean, I don't think we have a real reason for it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But, I think all of us before the season did say that he was a guy that wasn't on the 40-man that would make an impact this season. So, we'll see how that shakes out. But that was something that we were all on back in February and March.
I definitely didn't expect him this early. If anything,
I don't think any of us did.
Like
that's the product of a 12-18 record.
I even mentioned it in our group chat today. I'm like, are we really going to see Jake Bennett in April?
Yeah, I thought we were going to see. I thought we were going to see him in like August as the lefty reliever, like when the team's fighting for a wild card spot.
I thought we'd see Peyton Tolley like in August. Like that's how I was really thinking with the pitching depth that we were all talking about this offseason. Like we had a 10, 11 guys deep, and Peyton Tolley was like in the 7 or 8 spot. Like now he's your 5 starter, maybe like your 4th best starter on the roster.
Eric Lauer tomorrow.
It's official, Eric Lauer. I mean, that's a major league starting pitcher.
Hazel May said, Hazel May just tweeted, Eric Lauer will factor into tomorrow's pitching plans. Not sure whether they'll use an opener or not, per John Schneider. So whether it's like an opener for an inning and then Lauer is the long guy or Lauer starting the game, Lauer is gonna eat up the bulk of the first 6 innings of the ball game. It seems like
that's a major league quality pitcher, so it's not a free win. I mean, if anything, I'd say he's a better pitcher than Brian Bale at this moment. So if you want to take the series tomorrow, you have to have good at bats and you have to professional.
And now we'll see. Now we'll see if Marcelo Meyer starts against a lefty. Lauer not having a great year, 1-3 with a 6.75 ERA and 22 2/3. He got demoted to the pen, but this is Tracy's chance to start Marcelo against a lefty.
I'm going to say he does. I think
so too.
Oh, absolutely,
so
yeah. 7-game hitting streak. The defense he's been playing today too.
Does Jarren Duran start?
One of him or Yoshida,
yeah.
So Yoshida started today. I'm going to say Jarren Duran plays tomorrow. I think so. I mean, Rafael will be obviously back in there. But yeah, I think Yoshida is going to be the odd man out. I do think but I'm saying left.
Yeah, I'm saying we're at least going to get one of them because I don't know. Like with Cora last week, I don't know if we would have gotten either of them. So I think we at least get one of Yoshida or Duran.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be an IKF Monasterio. Onslaught of down in the order of free outs. But I mean, Monasterio I'll be okay with. Honestly, if Monasterio's in there, I'm not against him. But I'd rather see Meyer. Like if this is what you're moving towards is more of a developmental year, which very well could be. It needs Marcelo Meyer to play every single day.
If I'm going to be watching this game during the workday to 3:00 on a Wednesday, Mayer better be in that lineup. I'm talking just purely as a viewer. Monasterio is not clear my work calendar to watch the Sox game type of name.
Fair enough.
I would understand. I would understand from a game planning side of things. I'm just saying as a viewer, That's just not what I want to see tomorrow.
I'd be okay with Marcelo Meyer at shortstop, Monasterio at second, but that won't happen.
I think we would all be okay seeing Mayer at shortstop in any regard, no matter who plays second base.
Yeah.
I think it happens eventually.
Another random note on tomorrow. It's the last weekday day game for a month. Their next weekday day game is Thursday. Was that May 28th, May 29th against Atlanta. So May 28th against Atlanta at 4:10. So I know a lot of people like those getaway days, especially earlier in the season, but the Sox are getting away from those for a bit.
Good.
It's just depressing, man. These games are just boring. They're boring. They're not fun to watch. Peyton Tully again. I mean, he was entertaining. He wasn't as good as last time, but it's always fun to watch him pitch. But once he's out, it's hard to watch.
Yeah. Well, at this point, and I know you said it's depressing and like overarching. Yeah, sure. But like, dude, when they got to 9 and 16, 9 and 17, my intensity and like passion, I was like, the season's already over. So I'm trying to take everything with a grain of salt and like, hopefully they can get back into it. But it's like the expectation has already gone out the window. I'm just like, all right, whatever happens, happens. It's like, 26 games in and they've already kind of blown their chance at doing anything meaningful this season. That stinks. So I'm just like, whatever. And maybe that's the wrong attitude to have. I don't know. But it's honestly, I felt a lot better. It's like there's no expectation or no pressure of like, shoot, we got to go win a baseball game. We have to go do it to dig ourselves out of this hole. It's like, whatever happens, happens. And, hopefully individuals develop. And if the team gets on a run, so it helps Tracy's managerial status for next year, great. If it doesn't, and it hits the fan and Breslow's out and they sweep everything out and change the regime, fine. It's like, I don't know. I feel like at this point, because the season might already be lost, it's a win-win either way.
I have the same mentality when I'm writing down my notes for today before the show, before we went live. And my highlights are Mayer, Yoshida, and Contreras hard hits, and Roman had a good throw. That's how you know where we are.
It's just like, the thing is, like, I say it now, and then when I'm watching the game and they have bases loaded, nobody out in the fourth tomorrow, I'm like, come on, guys, you got to score. It's like you try to remove yourself from all the emotion, but you can only do it so much, until you get in the moment, and it's like they suck you right back in.
I don't have much from the Red Sox from today or even tomorrow's game, but I do want to talk about the biggest news in baseball from today and the Phillies firing their manager, Rob Thompson. Yeah. And then the news came out that basically Dave Dombrowski offered the job to Alex Cora within seconds of him knowing he was going to fire Rob Thompson. So
on Sunday,
this was a kind of a fun story that we kind of all predicted that there was going to be a chance that he was going to get a job offer from one of these two teams, the Phillies or the Mets. Obviously, the Mets haven't done it yet. I assume it will happen.
I don't think it's.
I don't know.
Are you saying in terms of offering Cora or firing?
No, firing Mendoza.
Oh yeah, they're gonna fire. Well, they did win 8-0 tonight, but yeah, it's only an.
No, I don't think Cora takes a job.
Yeah. Cora's not taking a job the rest of 26.
But I do think it was very, very funny and very, very telling that Dave Dombrowski was like, "Yeah, Alex Cora's open. Like that's open. We're gonna just fire our guy. Like I'd rather fire my guy with a chance at getting Alex Cora than keep Rob Thompson and then." I don't know.
No, I think by the time
he had Mattingly, so it's like you have a guy in your dugout that has made it very like a lot of managerial experience with the Dodgers and the Marlins. Like he's been in the dugout for many, many years, borderline Hall of Fame talent. Like obviously, if that's your fallback option, you can just make the move if you want to. But Dave Dombrowski wanted Alex Cora, and I think that's the takeaway.
But I think that by the time he fired Thompson this morning, like he knew Cora wasn't taking the job. It was Cora called him Saturday night and Dave was like, I guess he thinks of me as a mentor. Like, I don't know how much of that conversation was around him managing, more about, okay, what do I do? This is what happens. So then, Dombrowski calls him on Sunday, gauges his interest. And then Dombrowski said by the end of the day yesterday, Cora decided he wanted to spend time with his family. And it's like, part of me is like, he just wants to chill in Puerto Rico or in Boston, Miami, wherever he is on John Henry's dime. But I'm sure that's part of it. But I think the biggest part is he wants to be present for his kids. His twin sons are growing up. His older daughter is a grad student in college now. So it's like just being home for a summer, being present for them, kind of resetting and, then getting back in the swing this offseason into next season if he wants to continue to manage.
And we've always heard that from him, even with his time with the Red Sox.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
he wasn't going to be a Terry Francona and coach the rest of his life and be a
Yeah.
manager in the dugout. I definitely do think that we do see him again in a managerial
Sure.
role. Not
Dude,
this year, but
they all get the itch. It's like, look at Tito after he got
100%.
fired from the Sox. He went to ESPN for 1 year, then went right back to Cleveland.
I wouldn't be
obviously
surprised if he's back in the managerial role with the Phillies in 2027.
next year. Correct.
Next year. Next year.
Because it's like,
I just
Yes.
think the only issue
Yeah.
is there might not even be a 2027, and that might be part of this. Like, I'm going to take this year off. We'll see what happens. You know, like we might not even. He doesn't want to be tied down to the Phillies, and if 2027 doesn't happen, and they're even a year older in 28, that might be, he doesn't want to sign that contract yet. You know,
yeah, like I just think he wants to start with them on a fresh sheet. Like they're not going to have much wiggle room to like maneuver their roster in terms of like.
I mean, they won tonight.
Sure, but I'm saying in terms of like the contracts that they have on the books, they're not going to be able to do much. But you start over with a clean slate, a full season of healthy Wheeler, maybe Nola resetting. It's like you'd rather go in with a fresh sheet than what's going on right now. They're 10-19.
I think it was interesting that it was also noted that Cora specifically did not turn down the job because of money or the team or anything, but specifically about the family. Like the article I read, I believe it was what Coutinho, exactly what he tweeted out. But I'm like, we all know that Cora's a big family guy, and it's probably just like you mentioned, soaking up the John Henry money, spending time with his kids. That all is very predictable and makes sense. Nothing we haven't heard before. Specifically mentioning that it wasn't about what the Phillies could offer him in that position. That's the reason why he turned it down. That was a very interesting add-on.
Yeah, definitely.
Comment here that came up a few minutes ago. We should bring it up from Cody. Tough to watch a game after it's over. You still have the rest of the day to think about the game. I think he was talking about the day games. I get what you're saying. And it's like, especially when it's at work and you're not paying attention and then you lose. And then you come home and you're just sitting there staring at the wall and you're like, what the heck am I supposed to do? The Red Sox lost and there's no other games to really watch. And it's like, I don't love the weekday day games. I mean, I get that some people love them. I mean, they're good for some people. They're great for like the international people that can actually watch a game at a normal time instead of 4 or 3 in the morning. It's good for some people and I get it, but it's good for travel. But it's just, for me, this comment makes sense. You get home, the game's already over, and there's nothing else to do with your day.
I know Cody is also a Mets fan. He's a diehard Mets fan. And so seeing that comment specifically from him too, it just adds that extra insult to injury, knowing that your Mets absolutely suck and you're at the work, you're working the next day.
Cody, I'm sorry, buddy.
I'm not.
I like with the day games, I like them in the summer during the week. Like, I don't know, like when the weather's warmer, it just feels natural. It feels like July and August playoff push. It feels like summer. Obviously, if you're ever playing a Friday day game at Wrigley, just the tradition there. But aside from that, like, it's a Wednesday or Thursday in April. Like, sure, it's fine. But outside of opening day or like something big in the summer, I don't know. They're not that I'm kind of neutral. Like, they're fine every once in a while, but like when you hit them every week on the getaway days, that's when it gets tough. At least sometimes you can get into a rhythm. But
I can't imagine being like either pitching or like just as a general ball player, and you're in a routine, whether it's a 1 o'clock game or a 7 o'clock game, and then just suddenly tomorrow, like, oh yeah, 3 o'clock. It's like, it's a weird time. I can't
the Jays
imagine.
always do that though. Like when we go back to Toronto in August in the middle of the week, our last game of the series on a Thursday, and that's also a getaway Thursday at 3:07. So
3:07s for me are not awful. Like viewership wise, 3:07 I can almost make work. It's the 12:35, like that weird start, like, or the 1:05s in the middle of the week. It's just the game's over by the time anyone's even thinking about getting off of work.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, do you guys have anything else? I mean, tomorrow is a chance of winning the series. I mean, I don't have much hope for it just because of our starting pitcher. But if it was anyone else, I think we'd have a good chance of winning. So hopefully you could get like 4-5 innings at a Bayo, limit some damage and see what happens. But I'm not very confident. So I think I'm going to just ask for a prediction and final thoughts after that.
James?
I'll say my final prediction. That they're going to lose tomorrow. Final thoughts. Hopefully the offense gets it going, and hopefully they prove me wrong.
I would also echo that too. I would love to see back-to-back series wins, especially against division rivals too. But I just have less than zero confidence in Bayo. I think Vladdy goes deep against him tomorrow. Calling it now. But I want to see our offense go out there and swing bats and kind of do what we've been seeing throughout the Orioles series and then into Toronto up until today too. But again, the lack of Bayo confidence just kills my hopes for tomorrow. So let's hope for a win, but don't see it happening.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm the same way. I think we're going to lose and, take just 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3 from this series. But guys, we'll be back tomorrow. The game starts at 3:07, like we just talked about, and we'll probably be on live about 7 o'clock or just after the game ends. But this episode tonight will be on Apple Podcast and Spotify or anywhere you guys can find your podcast, YouTube and Twitter as well. So thanks for watching and more coming soon.